Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions in the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, everything really depending on the guest. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. You'll recognize my guests from a lot of really cool TV shows, including American Gods, Self-Made, Condor, Murdoch Mysteries, and of course, The Umbrella Academy. Mouna Traoré is with us. Mouna, welcome to Popternative.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. I mean, I mentioned it like on the top, like you've been in a lot of really cool shows, and it's been a really cool. It's been really cool to see your journey so far. I mean, whether you act, whether you write, I call you all storytellers. So when did Mouna decide that storytelling was something she wanted to do?
I think I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. I remember wanting to be an actor and a performer before I actually knew that it was a job or a career. I mean, from the time I was like, in kindergarten, before kindergarten, I was always writing stories, always telling stories, always performing for anybody. Like if you watch videos of me from when I was a kid, like anytime the camera comes on me, it's like, hello, I was on. But yeah, it happened really young when I realized that that's what I wanted to do.
Absolutely. And you were Canadian. You were from Toronto.
Born and raised in Toronto.
And you are part of, you've been on some shows, specifically Murdoch Mysteries, that are Canadian shows. And I grew up in Canada, and we all know that there was a stigma attached to Canadian TV and film where it wasn't as popular or as good as the stuff coming from the States. But I feel like that's kind of gone right now because there's so many amazing things because of streaming services. Shows like Kim's Convenience, Schitt's Creek, all those shows, if you think about it, those are Canadian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's because they finally have an international platform where they can get an audience and really be appreciated, which is so exciting. It's like the same thing with Working Moms. It's like the content is there. It's just a matter of getting it out there and having people find it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Talk about, before we get into like Umbrella Academy, like Murdoch Mysteries. I mean, this is a show that had a big popularity in Canada. Like I knew a lot of people that watched it. And there was a unique aspect of this show. Like I thought it wasn't just your average kind of mystery. There was a lot of crazy things that happened in it when it came to kind of solving these. But talk about your experience on that show.
My experience on Murdoch Mysteries was great. I think it might have been, at the time, it was a really significant role because I was a series regular. So I was on set all the time. And one thing that you get from an experience like being on that show is just like technical skills, like, because, we shot for such a long period of time in crazy conditions. Sometimes I'd be shooting, out in the sun wearing like 6 different layers of like, I'd have my skirt or my petticoat, my skirt, like my corset, all this stuff. And so it teaches you how to, stay in character in crazy conditions and costume, and just really, I felt like it was like school almost. And I was working with so many seasoned actors who I learned from. The camera team were amazing. They taught me so much about lighting and everything. And it was like one of those experiences that was so amazing because it's a machine. It's been around for so long and it knows how it operates. It knows how it works. And so to step into a show like that in its 9th season, I was just like trying to keep up, and it was great.
Yeah, I know. They had a lot of I don't think people realize how many seasons they had.
I think they're shooting season 14, right? Or I'm not exactly sure.
It's crazy. So yeah, the Umbrella Academy, I mean, that's like the talk of the town. Like everyone's talking about that show right now, and you got a chance to be on that show. I mean, from kind of the moment your episodes kind of got released and everything, what was kind of the reception like from your end? Because people were like really craving a season 2 of the show, and it came out and like everyone just watched it right away.
Well, I didn't really get a big reception because I was miscredited on IMDb. So nobody knew that I played Jill. It took about 10 days, maybe more, for them to correct that online. And then once that was corrected and people figured it out, then I started to get a lot of followers on Twitter and Instagram and people really engaging. But it was kind of like crickets because I was credited as a protester on IMDb and not as my character. Yeah.
Don't you have but like, can't you go in and fix that as well? Like, can't your team go in and fix that?
Several times.
Interesting.
But I kept getting denied by IMDb. So it wasn't until, fans were saying stuff on Twitter and, Netflix got involved and changed it. But yeah, it took a bit of pushing. So I kind of missed like the initial big wave.
But has it been kind of cool now that it's kind of settled?
Yeah, there's like
I wasn't expecting you to say that because I know, to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting that at all.
I mean, that's the reality. That's what happened.
Yeah.
There's really cool fan art and people really love the relationship between Ben and Jill and Ben and Klaus and Jill. And so it's been really, really lovely to see how fans have really appreciated the relationship. And, it's not like, I don't know. It's something. It's so weird because Ben's a ghost, obviously. So it's very. It's like they're connecting, but they're not connecting, and so it's a weird kind of dynamic that they have.
Oh,
but it's still like lovely and romantic.
Absolutely. No, it's. But like the thing is, I mean, the Umbrella Academy, and there's a few shows like this, but that's a show that's like redefining like superhero and like geek and nerd culture. Like it's so unique. It's such a unique spin on it. Pardon me?
At the forefront.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
that's a great job of engaging their audience and really like paying attention to what the audience wants as well.
And it was created by like the graphic novel by Gerard Way. Were you ever into My Chemical Romance?
I had my moments. It was so funny. I was joking with my sister that I don't know if you saw the new Batman trailer.
I did.
They kind of look alike.
Yeah.
Did you see how Pattinson has the sort of really pale makeup and the dark eyes?
Now that you say that, they kind of do. Yeah.
And then I looked at the picture of Gerard Way, and I was like, inspiration, maybe.
Yeah. That fight sequence in that trailer where he's just like that, just kind of like.
What did he say at the end? Vengeance.
Vengeance. Yeah, but like before, when he's just like, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been a crazy weekend for like DC because of DC fandom, but yeah, no, it's like, is that another thing too? Is that kind of something people realize that like, you guys are the storytellers and actors in these shows, right? But you're also like,
fans.
You're also fans, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like, I feel like me personally, I try to temper it because if I'm walking on a set or I'm working with somebody, I don't ever want them to just see me as a fan. I'm their peer, like I'm working with you. But I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening. This is so cool.
I have not posted it yet, but I interviewed Burt Ward, who was like the original Robin, like 1960s Batman of Adam West.
Oh, wow.
And that was pretty cool. Like the stories like he told me were like really, really cool.
That's epic.
Just about like the legacy that they've kind of left and like how he was just doing, how like it's always kind of relevant and all these conventions he was doing, and he's got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like it's crazy.
It's wild. Wow.
It's crazy to see too, like that was like 1960s Batman, and that was kind of like one of the first kind of like Batman and Robins, you know what I mean? And then it's kind of evolved over those years. Did you also, another show too that I'm realizing is also on the forefront too is like The Boys. Like, have you watched that?
Love The Boys.
So good.
Job. I would love to work on The Boys. I was so addicted to that show when it came out last summer. I was really, really excited about it. And that's, yeah. Carl Urban is hilarious. Who's the guy who plays Homelander? What's his name?
Anthony Starr.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's so good.
The writing is phenomenal.
It is amazing. I do think that's kind of what it is, because I was talking to my parents about this, and we're watching all these shows and these movies, and we're like, these shows are like so good. It's like you're watching kind of like a 1 hour movie. You know what I mean? Do you think that's just a testament to like the writing? Like the writing has just been elevated. There's this new crop of like amazing kind of people coming in.
I also think the way that people approach like TV experience, like they know for the most part that audiences are much more advanced than they were 20, 30 years ago. They know that audience want complexity and nuance in the storytelling. So that's why we have shows like Game of Thrones and Westworld and The Watchmen. These shows, I mean, did I just name all shows on HBO?
Pretty much.
But you know, audiences love shows that really force them to ask themselves questions, to see things differently. It's not like about having a cookie cutter story anymore.
But I feel like what you just said, it could be also related to like one of my favorite genres. Like I'm a huge fan of the horror genre. Like I love horror movies. Are you a big horror fan too?
No, not at all.
Ah. Well, there's more things that could scare people than like the cheap jump scare and the gore.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of noticing. That's why I think like this genre is becoming so popular, because these people are writing these amazing stories that don't just have the gore or the cheap like boo. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the real life is scary. Like everything going on in the world is scary.
Yeah, that's why Black Mirror is so successful.
Absolutely. Talk about like some shows that you haven't had a chance to maybe work on, or genres you haven't had a chance to work on in your career so far that you're interested in maybe working on.
You know, I'm really interested in doing sci-fi, fantasy, and speculative fiction. That's my favorite genre as far as like what I read. And so my dream would be to be in an adaptation of some of my favorite sci-fi fantasy books. Mm-hmm. That's what I would want to explore. Like I love immersive worlds. I love the idea of being part of a story that takes you to another place, you know? And so, absolutely. You know, that's what is coming up next, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, phone's ringing. I'm just gonna let it go. I edited it out, so I'm just gonna wait for the phone to. Okay, we're good. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, the sci-fi would be cool. I mean, sci-fi is also a genre. Like, I feel like sci-fi and like the supernatural, all that stuff. I feel like that was kind of niche is becoming mainstream. It feels like.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I love like the shows I named: Game of Thrones, Westworld, The Watchmen, mm-hmm. and they all have elements of that. And I don't know. I think sometimes reality gets to be a bit too much. And so when you watch a show like that and you get to sort of disassociate and disconnect a bit from where you are, it can be a sense of relief, and it's also inspiring and like, you know, plays on my curiosity. And so, I would love, and you know, it's, I think, very interesting as an actor to explore playing a character who's dealing with a set of conditions that I know nothing about. So I have to use my imagination to try to excavate it, you know?
No, absolutely. That's a really good way of looking at it, for sure. Mouna, thank you so much for coming on the show to chat with me for a little bit. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was really wonderful.
No, absolutely. So, Umbrella Academy Season 2, people can watch it now on Netflix.
Yep. They can also watch Self-Made on Netflix.
And Self-Made. And what was your experience working on a show like that? We didn't get a chance to talk about it for a little bit.
That show was amazing. Honestly, I got to work with one of my best friends. I got to meet so many people that I've idolized since I was a kid, you know, Blair Underwood, Octavia Spencer, Tiffany Haddish. It was really beautiful to be part of a production that was so diverse, that had so many women in key positions, and that was telling a story that I'd known in history from when I was a kid, but I'd never seen representation of. And so it was like a full circle childhood dream moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's also on Netflix right now. So people can watch 2 projects of yours on Netflix. They could do like a Mouna marathon.
Yeah, they can.
And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Mouna Traoré. That's at _MOUNA TRAORE.
Amazing. Well, seriously, thank you so much for coming on the show. Congrats so far with the success you've been having on these awesome shows. Keep it coming. We want to see more Mouna.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and hopefully you'll be seeing me in some crazy sci-fi fantasy show where I'm shooting lasers and driving ships.
That'd be awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You can check out Mouna and Self-Made and Umbrella Academy that are streaming now on Netflix. And until next time, this is Mouna Traoré and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.